I'm going to welcome you on behalf of SCEF, but when I say Aquaba, I want you to respond in your local language if possible. Can we try that? Okay, so Aquaba.
And also live a life that makes impact and sustainably leave a legacy. Today, we stand here as a testament to what is possible when we come together to passionately meet consistent actions that we set for ourselves. Recently, our 15 years evaluation report has given us the opportunity to look back with humility and pride. I want to say that we have achieved some milestones. Over 1.7 million individuals were impacted. Please let's clap for ourselves. We may not be able to do that. We are also very glad and happy that we recognize how far we still need to go, which means there's a lot of work that we have. Officially, legally, duly, and I believe accepted by all open. Thank you.
Helping children, helping humanity. But going forward, there definitely will be a strategic plan, and to help us with that is the Executive Director of SCEF, Mr. Person of Mr. Paul Seven. With a round of applause shall we receive Mr. Paul Seven to bring us an overview of the strategic plan.
I see lots of teachers, GS officials who are partners to our library implementation project. If you are able to wave your hands, let's give you acknowledgements. The partners who we work with, we have a boarding house, we partner with A&D Memorial Institute. I see the head here. Can you give us a wave? We will talk about this in our breakout sessions. Our moderator for the day, our senior advocate, Apioko, is here. Apioko, can we have the and we wrote it, and we are happy that we have a strategy. So this is not self-work, but I'm presenting a summary of the strategy that is now a public document. It's now a document for the Republic of Ghana, and all of us are being called on to implement. So the team is saying we are accelerating the implementation. So you need to know what the plan or the strategy is. Then before we can break out into breakout sessions and discuss more detail how we can move it from policy into action. So as I gave the services and opportunities, we'll go a bit into it. What are the essential services we were talking about and how acknowledgements, the Director of the Department of Social Welfare just joined us. Doctor, you are welcome. You can wave to everyone. Great. So other local NGOs, we all came together and said we need to dedicate prime time to this. This is not one of those things. If we really are committed to seeing that the street connected children, I'll be happy that he's seated here as well. No. There are pull and push factors. There are preventive things that we all need to be doing to prevent the problem from escalating and growing bigger into something that we cannot handle anymore. Okay, so that's what SCEF has been doing. So we are just using our anniversary to amplify, to tell everyone here that there is a national strategy. It's not necessarily something that SCEF did, no. SCEF does not own that. The Department of Social Welfare initiated it. The local NGOs, I want to mention all of them. Daniela is here from Kinder Paradise. Can you wave for us?
I'm not Daniela.
We all need to go into it. There are things that others have done or are doing. So we can look at the good things and see how we can adapt it into the national frame and go. Then reducing barriers to essential services. So we have, like I said, the FQ is there, but there are barriers. What are the barriers? The teachers, I'm coming to the area. No, I'm not coming at you. I'm just it's supposed to be free education. Capitation grant is supposed to support the head teacher. But we know the challenges, the unique challenges with capitation grant. How much is it per child? Extra classes. But as teachers, mother was not there. It will never be there. That's why they were restricted in the first place. That's why I have brought them to school. So that extra class becomes a barrier for that teacher to stay in the classroom. Are we here? So we have to look NHIs, so I'll move from education. NHIs, we are supposed to register, we are supposed to get a letter. DSW, we are supposed to go to DSW to get letters before that. But what I have mentioned, there are very unique initiatives from different NGOs here. And in our breakout sessions, we will look at all of these unique initiatives, how we can take small initiatives. How many of us know about complementary basic education policy? Yes, a lot of us know. The complementary basic education policy started from School for Life intervention, amplify and make sure that we can get things to do. Then we have the foreign nationality children that are coming in now. Again, there is projects that have been done by NGOs in Ghana in collaboration with other NGOs in the West African region that have seen the. So I'm speaking to these items already. So I'm just, it's the national steps that is taking now that we are going to be. So when it comes to this as well, yes, we have the policy development. I'm speaking to this already. Coordination still are here. So thank you very much, and let's get to work and see which ideas we can contribute in our breakout sessions. But before that, we have a qualitative research that has been done by a group called REST. I'm on their advisory board, and they are all the way.
Qualitative secondary data analysis that has been conducted. And I'm presenting this on behalf of the team members, the DUREST team, and I'll be using the concept of DUREST throughout this presentation, which means responsibilities for the resilience embedded in spiritual qualities, mapping spiritual resiliences through analysis of secondary data. So I'm making this presentation on behalf of the team members led by Professor Lynn Van Black, from the University of Deidei and Jenny. Then we have Dr. Badru Kenya from Accra University. We also have Professor Linda Thorin and Gama from the University of Pretoria, as well as Lucy James and Hulu Bolana from the University of Cape Town. So this is an international research team involving different academicians from the different parts of the world to undertake this research. So I'm going to talk about Growing Up on Streets project that was conducted from 2013 up to 2016. Then this was is a project that was conducted in 3 African cities. That is Accra in Ghana, where you're based right now. Then there was also Bukavu, Republic of Congo, as well as Harare in Zimbabwe. So the project was an innovative participatory research about the lives of street children and youth as they grow up on streets. And it aimed at building extensive and authoritative evidence base to inform and influence street child policy and practice. So it was a collaboration between the University of Dundee, Street Investment Consortium for Street Children, and local partners in different parts of the participating countries. Specifically in Ghana, we had a Street Girls Aid, then we had Street Empowerment Trust from Zimbabwe, then Padel from the Republic of Congo. So in terms of influencing or informing policy and interventions aimed at improving the well-being and livelihoods of street children and youth. So we had several briefing papers. You can see a list such as one on shelter and young people in the streets that was used by the different street children and youth, and this was adopted by the consortium of street children on the list. And I'm going to be discussing this in details. What are the aims of the DUREST project? This project I'm talking about, that comes from the Growing Up on Streets project, so focus is on. However, when used in multi-systemic lens, it goes beyond individual resources or individual risks to also include other layers such as the social, the influencing, enabling the street children to adapt to the challenging situations on the streets. The multi-systemic resilience framework, as you can see, I've already noted that these children interact with other different individuals, including peers who play an instrumental role in terms of informing what they do or addressing or navigating the challenges. Then institutional, we are talking about street work services, markets, clinics, among others. So it is something that she's learning from a peer. Otherwise, it is a service that can be paid for if you need to learn how to drive, for instance, a motorcycle for the rest project. One is about basic needs, food, shelter, and wash. Then two is about violence risks. Three is street children and youth levels. Remember the multi-systemic resilience framework, as I've already noted, it goes beyond individual factors to incorporate the social, institutional, as well as environmental. So the resources, we looked at it at individual, where we have physiological, health facilities, and they receive treatment, but they don't want to go there. There are reasons as to why they don't want to go there. One of them was that when they go there, they makes them fear to go back. So how about creating a warm environment where these street children can come in case they feel sick? They are able to access services. Can we work with which has no prescription? So how do we work with these peers to support these street children to access some of the services? This is just an example of a quote from Harari.
Coming back here is Tijani Mahmood, and Tijani Mahmood is a programs manager for Muslim Family Counseling Services. He's not here. Okay. It's just a Teta family here. Wonderful. So this family is the executive director of Young Visionary Leaders Ghana. We also have here Benjamin Freeman Mensah, and he is the Ago. Imagine a girl, maybe 12, maybe older. She sells sachet water with the baby's hunger on her back, and she exhales every breath of that baby's hunger. Ago. Her fingernails are black with yesterday's road, and her eyes hold a vocabulary which no dictionary ever dares to translate. She smells like smoked fish, diesel, and fear. She's sweet, she's sharp, but she's fermented in the sun. Now imagine a boy, name unknown. His feet are cracked like the Hamatan earth. He draws a chalk circle on the pavement, and he calls it home. In that chalk circle called home, he is the president of the country. And in that chalk circle called home, no one can call him filthy. Ago. And yet, we gather in air-conditioned chambers to debate what to do with their lives as they move through a national riddle. But they're children, they're not a riddle. We need to rescue them, and they should not come second to policy. Ago. See, policy doesn't hold a crying child when the street coughs up another abandoned name in sickness and in death. Policy does not scrub wounds which are infested with the insult of indifference. There's blood on our report sheets. Ago. There's blood on our report sheets. There are bones in our bylaws. These children do not want pity. They want a return to childhood, a return to dignity, a return to some place that does not smell of sweet, sweat, and kerosene, and of rotten, forgotten bamboo and tilapia, which they just might eat because they have no other choice. They do not belong to the streets.
They belong to us. I will repeat after me. They do not belong to the streets. They belong to us. And we must put a stop to a nation that shapes nothing. And we must shape the nation where a child must learn to disappear in order to survive. We must come out of that so that we have a nation where a child does not need to disappear in order to survive. Thank you. I want us to delve into that a bit. Now, yes, we can. Okay. So I want to find out from you. You know, we saw in the presentation that we just went through, there were words from people who have come off the streets, and they're sharing their experiences. They're talking about their colleagues who are also street-connected children, and some of the things they are doing to come out of the problems that the streets put them through. So I want to find out from you, when we come to former street-connected children, what role can we have them play in the advocacy and then also peer mentorship?
All right, thank you very much. Once again, I think I always say that it is always doable when we bring the people who are victims together for them to share their experiences and what they are going through. So over the decade, we as a platform are working to champion the rights of give them a platform where they themselves can speak to some of the issues that affect them. Some of us, of course, we are advocating on their behalf, but policymakers who are making decisions on their behalf will be ready and able to hear from their own mouth what they also have to say. So for us, we've been engaging key stakeholders, especially the ministry. Last week, as a platform, we had a meeting with foster partnership to just strengthen this advocacy on behalf of the street community. So for me, I think that we have a great role to play in ensuring that we make this advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So what we have done over the years as Chance for Children is to start with the family, work with communities, and ensure that all of these institutions or units within which a child or a young person would operate actually understand what it means to work with such a child or such a young person, what it means to support them, and what it means to help them to thrive. And you would see that these are institutional issues. Yes.
So your funding window is supposed to end April 2025, 30th April.
That is correct.
So make sure that you are integrating the child before that funding gets lost.
That is the case. Sometimes you need an institution, when you bring the child within 3 months, make sure the child is integrated. And you would rather plan your processes around the time instead of the needs of the child. Because, I mean, it's obvious that a child who has lived in the street has so many social issues that have to be dealt with. So the intervention has to plan for the child and for nothing else, and that is really important.
Thank you. Round of applause for Benjamin. I'll come back to you at some point. Oh, your applause was very Anthony, let me come to you. How do we intercept, and I know it's a difficult question to answer, but you have been in the space, SCEF has done so much, 15 years on the line, you're here, but I'm sure you have some kind of an answer to this question. Before the child even lands on the street, how do we intercept? How do we get to a point where we see it coming and we stop it before it has to get there?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for also having me here. First and foremost, the Street Children Empowerment Foundation will provide 2 things: preventive service and remedial service. Very key, because once you are able to identify a child who is prone to being on the streets, we have social protection committee members in the communities where we work with. So they are able to identify the children before they even get to the streets. And through that, we also build their capacity because it takes a lot for you to identify a child in the streets. Once you are able to know the skill that is into identifying this child, it helps you to know the method or the approach to use. Most of the time, the parents do not know the essence of education because they themselves may be deprived from education. So they think that once I have you working for me, it is your right. It's supposed to be so because I gave it to you to support me. But they don't understand that you are depriving the child of that right to education. So through our rescue, whereby we go to the streets, sometimes we get referral cases, walking cases that come to us. Then we take that quick step by approaching the family, going home to see the whole situation, talk to the parents, let them understand what it means for the child. A typical example would be, do you want to stay in this condition for long as a parent? If the parent says no, you should ask questions whereby the parent themselves have self-guilt. There's a no, then it turns out to be a yes. The no can be, do you want to stay in the same condition? No. Do you like that your child is lecturing around while school is ongoing? No. What do you want to do? I don't have money, I need support. And that is when the yes comes in that we provide the support for the children. The support is, you come to our center, we use play-based activities to revive that learning skill in you. Because we believe that children learn more and better when they play. The attention of a child is very short. So when you have 5 minutes of the child's attention, make best use of it. Or else the child will become bored and lose interest in education.
It becomes shorter and shorter.
Exactly. So as it diminishes, it causes the child to lose interest. So you use play to activate it. So our center, like the game we have at our end, we do Tosa helps them to spell their names. Using A, E, O, U, they learn about consonants to play. So you revive them through the 3 months of rehabilitation. But you don't also leave the parents out. Because if you leave the parents out, there will be a remedial service. So you go for the preventive by getting the parents to understand how to manage their money. How people do impulse buying. They don't grab any shopping list, they go to town, anything they want to buy. The parents will go to town, they're selling maybe watching, no one is buying. But if so will pass, but your both lose my back, but the child is hungry. You get home, you are full, the child wants to go back with no meat. So you do that so that the parents will understand the financial literacy of their own life. Then through that, we also help them with parenting because most of the time we have children giving birth to what? Children. Right or wrong? Right or wrong?
Right.
So I'm engaging my audience. This is what I like to do. So every time you find out that a child will give birth to another child, but because of the child's mind is that in James 13 years you have to have a child. And through that, your mind, your body develops into an adult. How? You eat, you relax, you think, and believe that you are grown because you are a child. So we use the parental skills to train them to understand that there's a difference between parenthood and parenting. So that once you understand that you go into the urban savings centers where you are putting down some money to prevent your child from dropping out of school when we take the child onto our program for 5 years. So the learning hub serves as a great factor for us to understand the child, to build the communication skills, to build the life skills before we take the child into the mainstream school. At 3 o'clock, our place is always filled up with kids, but we can't serve all the children. So we have taken that initiative to give our learning hub another level, where the level is setting up libraries in schools. And this year, we are in 100 schools. Thanks to our partner. Thanks that affect the child. The home, the friends, the church, mentioned it, anyone affects the child. So we make sure that we have the health institutions as part of every program that we do, so that they understand. We also have a project that we go into the community to sensitize people on their rights as women, because a girl is heavily dependent on this guy to provide for her, because she can't afford the price of sanitary pad, and the fluency in changing it is more. Every time you have to change, every time you have to be doing for that girl, whereby putting herself at the mercy of the man to abuse and take away their rights. So we work closely with the health institutions so that we provide that service for them. Health screening, we do share this care every February, because it's very important that there's a month of love and it's red. So blood aligns with February. So we hold a health screening. Recently we did a health screening. We screened 200 street connected kids and the community members as well on typhoid, how to understand your body. Very important, because if you don't understand your body, you don't know your menstrual cycle and all of that. That's where teenage pregnancy comes in, and that is where we get to the behavioral service. So we do the prevention before.
Prevention first. Round of applause for Anthony, please.
Of imbalance, and in every society we have that. But that same child who has that support from the parents, at a point in time, might happen that that child becomes. But it's as a result of this and this and that. And so because of that, we want you to understand that growing, as a kid or as children, these issues or these challenges or what has been happening is why these kids are on the streets, we think that it can be prevented from now. So by so doing, we are able to get to the grassroots, or let me say the root of what is causing the streetism. So by so doing, I believe that we will be able to, if not eradicate it, we will be able to ameliorate the reasons which we have street children now and maybe probably in the future they will be controlled. So that is what I think that we can do. And of course, as civil society organization, as I made mention from the advocacy aspect, let us have that commitment to further engage the key policy makers and see how best we can come up with some key policies that will be able to assist and then maybe probably help this kids to know that from the classroom it can happen to anybody at all. In the same way that street children on the streets can also get to the classroom and become what to do in the person in the future. So that is one thing that we have to do. Show advocacy. Thank you.
Wonderful. Joseph, let me stay with you just a little while. Some belong to nomadic communities. That's the culture that we are born into. Others, because of the way life has turned, they end up moving around a lot, and the streets comfort them where the home cannot. So when it comes to that situation, how can we now also take the education to people like that? Because for them, reintegration that may never happen. Because their parents are either sitting by the side of the road somewhere, waiting for them to come back in the evening. How do we address those situations as well?
Okay, thank you very much. I think SCEF and other key partners are already doing something around that. And speaking from the civil society perspective, for us, ours has to do more advocacy. For us, SCEF and other key stakeholders are playing their part. Ours is also to engage the government's key policymakers for us to see what we can do to at least sustain the good work that the civil society organizations, such as SCEF and then Chance, So for us, I believe that a lot of work in terms of advocacy has to be done. For example, when the executive director for SCEF made a presentation on the strategic plan, there are so many things over there that we can leverage on to engage further. For me, I think that we need to do more, in the areas of those key or specific items that are mentioned in
with the strategic plan.
So we don't generalize.
Yes.
We are just as specific.
Exactly.
Because in Ghana, we have to generalize.
Yes, that is what is giving us the most. We need to be specific and then prioritize some key areas that we want to, build on. And I think that we need to work a little more around that and then try our possible best to, let me say, disseminate the strategic plan to key stakeholders for them to understand what really matters and what we have to prioritize going forward as a country.
Wonderful. Thank you. Round of applause. I'll come back to you. Now, we spoke about
specific health needs, provision something for that. Normally you take care of the counseling, parenting, teaching and all that, but if there are specific psychological needs, you have a psychologist who is dedicated to these three children who will invite the child and the parents to come to our center and whatever support services they need is given. In some instances, the psychologist will even have to travel to the family and be able to speak to not just that particular child, but the other siblings and even other relatives. So there is an approach, but it is flexible enough to be tailored depending on the specific circumstances. Where we need to do a bit more because of the prevailing circumstances, we are able to adjust and do that, all to ensure that every child that we take in stays and thrives. Thank you.
wonderful. Round of applause for that. I'm going to bring the audience in shortly, but Anthony, I need you to kindly address something for us before we do. Unfortunately, yes, we spoke about the fact that anything can happen to anyone, and these are the things that sadly make our children end up on the streets. But there are also people who, unfortunately, are born into generational cycles of poverty, of terrible life choices and all that. And we see it in our border towns. We see it happening in the rural urban drift and all that. You can identify some of these things. So I just want to find out from you, Anthony, how are we also looking at that, and how are we addressing some of those things? And if we are not addressing that, what are the challenges and how do you think we should proceed to do that?
Okay, thank you. I would start by saying that if you want to be rich or poor, start from your hands.
Start from your hands.
Your hands.
Not your fathers, not your mothers, not your aunties, not your uncles, your hands.
There's nothing like traditional poverty. It's about the mindset. Once you are able to rewire your mind and tell yourself that you want to change your story, you will change it. If you want to be poor, you will be poor. If you want to be rich, you will be rich. But it starts from here, your hands. You restrict what you eat. You restrict what you spend. You restrict where you go. You restrict how you contribute to people. You need to grow your wealth. And also, you need a skill. Because you can't say that you're waiting for manna to drop from heaven. The manna is around us all. It's about you finding the problem and thinking through a solution. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Exactly. So there's nothing like this family is poor. I always, when I'm holding trainings, I use the Nagmo as an example that when it happens, that is when the resources come in. But how long does the resources take before the people get back on the streets? It takes only 1 day, 2 days, and it's finished. But if a skill is being given to them, oh wow, there will not be any need for that.
All right, round of applause for Anthony.
Good morning, everybody. My name is.
What's afternoon?
Are we first talk about? Okay, yes, we have. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jennifer Palmer. feminist activist, author manager at the Metropolitan. I was curious about the standpoints and the supports that you give to the street children who are reintegrating back into society. What is I'm always a little bit of a financial person. So is that privately funded? Is that government funded? Or is it a combination of the two? And when you consider the figures of the number of street children, even based on the figures that we were told earlier, very soon we did take the 500,000, getting to 1 million only in Accra. Do you think this figure, the amount of money that you give a stipend is enough? Is it going to be increased? Are you going to be doing more projects across the country? Thank you. Wait, should I repeat the question? Okay, no, it's fine.
See on the streets. When you come to Ghana, you see them all over. My question to my panelists is that, what are we not doing right as a country? Thank you.
To other parts of the country, like other parts of the Western Cancer region, like Nigeria, you have those street children. The Nigerians, they are close to Nigeria, but they cannot go to Nigeria because the Kano state government will not allow street children. Why only they are trooping into Ghana all over. So the street children issue is a cancer. How can we address it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so in regards to in Ghana, there's a lot of street children, but abroad there's none. Right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
He also mentions Nigeria, Niger, and then how in the south they also shopping in
Great. And I like the solution for transport children in terms of the national elements. But the difference is clear. In the outside world, there's a structure which is called asylum. But in Ghana, there's no structure, so everyone moves around. The second aspect is that when you are driving on the highway or in your community and you see a child, you want to give that child what? Money. So that is the driving force. I come today, I get 20 cents. Tomorrow, someone next will give you 20. Next time, then accumulate all the things. Today, I hit 3,000. That means that the street is good. Let me go back. But we see that and find organizations that are helping street connected children so that they can put in a structure to support them. That is how the asylum always works. Because the funds go there, they run the needs assessment, they do the social inquiry report on each child, they know what support is best for this child. Education is not all about the classroom, please. It's about the skill. People forget the skill element and focus on a structured learning where you can combine both, like the MBTIs. They are combining both. They are doing structured learning and skill training. So when the person comes out, the person is ready for the market. So the difference is that Assam has a structure which is being supported by the government and also international NGOs. But in Ghana, there is nothing like that because we are very, very, very social. We like to support. When we see something, we cry and we give money out and we forget. Exactly. And we think that giving children money on the street means
the fact that we have children that leave this classroom and go on the street. And then we have street children also going back to the classroom. We want to find out what is making this, what is the causes of all this. But in analyzing it, I came to also link it to our educational system. I came to realize that our educational system has been structured that it's not really helping the children to holistically develop them. And that's where I associated, you talk about psychologists. And psychologists have actually come up with 4 kinds of intelligence. Unfortunately for us, we place more premium on just one, which is the IQ. We have the IQ, we have the SQ, and we have the EQ and the AQ. The IQ is where we place so much emphasis on, and that's what is really affecting us. When children go to school and they are only taught to just chew a ball, memorize, and come and call it. We don't teach them the SQ, where people should be able to develop their social lifestyle, be able to interact with friends and make friends. We don't teach them about the adversity process, where they can build their endurance and the ability to be able to withstand shocks and resilience and a whole lot. And we don't even teach them the ability to be able to build their character and have that courage. So all these characters, all these intelligence are missing, and we place more emphasis on intelligent quotient, and that's where the problem is. So we need to look at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boosting me means I need to take the red tablet. Boosting me means I need to sleep with more people to pay my rent. So prostitution. But through the sexual education or sexual reproductive health rights education, ladies tend to use a different approach. What the different approach is that we, for us, as we train them on life skills. We train them on some skills in terms of beat making, hand making, and all that. It helps the person to get busy rather than go and prostitute. There's no alternative for that person. There's only one banger. The banger is that I need to sleep to pay off my debts. But if the person has a different skill in terms of how to make the hair, how to do a makeup, how to make these beads that I can export, what will happen? A friend calls that person that let's go, it's evening, let's go work. You see, I have orders. So I'm busy, you later. It won't take away the prostitution, but with time it will wear off. Right? With time it will wear off. And when it wears off, now the person exerts most of the energy in the skills. So there's no need for drugs to stay away to finish an order.
So this is a call to action for all of us here, whether it is our fans, whether it is our advocacy, whatever it takes, because we need all of us to do this. And I believe from here we'll begin to continue the discussion, rethink how we see these young people or children in the street.
Okay, all right, so and then these key partners to come up with a national coalition of street-connected children organizations. I think that maybe probably going forward, in order to strengthen our advocacy, let's have that national platform. Once you have that platform, your voice will be heard as a coalition. Secondly, I have a media coalition on street-connected children advocacy. What they have to do is to championing streetism. Is it possible we have that? That is one of the things that I want to also create with organizers to look at. Is it also possible that we have a day dedicated for international day for maybe probably we use the international day for street children or street connected children for a national advocacy, so that at the end of the day, chance for children and SCEF will not sit in their or maybe in their offices and then observe the day, but then it will be a day that will be observed by a group of civil society organizations working around streetism. Let us also consider this. Then, is it possible also for us to go down sometimes I'm speaking from the advocacy, perspective. Sometimes all that we are saying here, sometimes
brand all over the country. Every day there's an international day for something, and there are big events and people sponsor them. Why can't we do that for the International Day of Street Children? But if we don't position ourselves as activists, as stakeholders for that to happen, then we will not get that. So let's make noise, let's shout so that our advocacy can mean something, we can get results, and we can use the International Day for Street Children to achieve that. Then we spoke about the fact that we really need to talk more about these things openly, and that's where the media will come in. The media, social media, collaborating now with the digital content creators and all that, and then building a media coalition to address street child connected issues. That's something that we need to do, and I think that is a no-brainer. We should have done it a long time ago. I'm going to tell my media friends when I go back. Then we need to be looking at asylums, which Anthony spoke about. National asylums, not just in Accra, not just in Kumasi, not just in Takoradi, across Ghana. Asylums for children who are connected to the streets. And then also youth centers, I'll add that, because with the street children, when you travel around, I was born in the US, came back, went back, so I have that background to me. We enter certain communities, the street children are there, plenty. But during the day, they are the youth centers, or they are the asylums, and they're also being taught skills there, because the notion is that idle hands will lead you to do devilish things. We know this. So we need to look at that. Okay, I'm happy that we mentioned that our only children's park is not even doing anything for children. So there's those things to pay attention to. So let's act on that. And then our sustained advocacy and the dissemination of information, again back to media, but also planning properly communication plans that are just targeted. That's what the Western world does. They target messages at certain groups of people until the funding people hear us, until the people who have the space to help us, give us some land to build a community center and asylum hear us. We need to do that. And then further equipping our schools, our hospitals, our faith institutions, and other stakeholders in this social space, social protection space. All right, then I want to add something. I want to mention you're good by God. And then, because we are coming from privilege, you must give back. You can't just take that privilege and live by it yourself. And that's how the children, the students in national schools are trained. So I think that there's a great collaboration opportunity there. We can work with the young people to also mentor the street children. We are doing it in pockets anyway. So let's formalize it, involve social protection, GES, work together, and then make it something that will become fruitful. And mind you, these young people are from privileged places, and when they are doing projects, their whole constituency, parents, for everybody also supports. And that's a great funding space as well. So I tip there. And then lastly, what I'll say, obviously, funding is a problem from the government's level. But funding is a problem from the government level everywhere because we have genuine internal revenue generation challenges. And we see it. I keep saying that we have developing country problems. I don't call Ghana a poor country. Developing country, we have developing country problems. And you can see it when how many of us here are Christians? Okay, hey, you're not sure. How many of us go to church? Okay, so when it's harvest time, I was born, raised Methodist.
Okay, so let's start let's also clap for ourselves for actually, it's been very awesome to sit and listen to you all, and for the great work that you are doing. It's very well appreciated. From the start, when I joined in, I think the executive officer was giving a presentation on the strategic plan, and also the online discussion was very insightful. And I think the panel discussion was very, very, very insightful, and a great learning platform for me as well. And gained so much insight into the issues that moving forward, we are going to implement the strategic plan. Alright, so I'm standing here on behalf of the Honorable Minister. She was supposed to be here, but she sent her apologies equally important assignment. And so she's with you. And she supports this very one cause. Thank you. Alright, so I'll just give my brief statement. Distinguished guests, fellow advocates and champions of media, ladies and gentlemen, it's both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today at this National Symposium organized by the Street Children Empowerment Foundation. I commend the foundation for its tireless effort and unwavering commitment to uplifting one of the most vulnerable populations of society. Today's
Yet this bundle of joy knew no laughter, as his mother who did no wrong to a greater soul of death draw nigh. No less than her son's age, 9, she suffered nights of pain and grief. Sorrow was her closest friend. The same God had deserted her as if she had no hands to his when she had cancer and was soon to die. His father, drifting farther away from responsibility, made drugs and alcohol his second wife. And silent sobs suddenly turned this man into a beast. Very soon one couldn't tell whether mommy's pains were from chemo or his beatings because he battered her face with bruises. Using his clenched fist as a claw brush, Deidei holds them like it was a feast, blaming her for all their misery. He never cared about the ring. To him, it was always about his frustrations. Each morning, this child would watch his mom get lashed and whipped by his grandfather and cry about this crisis he faced. He wondered if this Christ he had heard about was indeed merciful. He wondered if Christ was indeed merciful. Because each morning of his life was filled with mourning. He couldn't stomach the pain and painfully starved himself of hope. He was hungry, he was becoming angry, and not even the apple he took in the evening because hope was shallow, silently. Darkness strangely became his friend. The only place where pain could end. Maybe his family could have cared. Maybe his community could have helped. Maybe, just maybe, we can help. If we choose to stand and say we are in this together. Let's lead a change. Together shall we say, free the children. Free the children. Thank you very much.
Power and our great collaborative efforts. We need to leverage our resources, our expertise, and our commitment to create a safer world for our dear vulnerable children. As an action point, now when we hear streets, this should come to mind. Support, transform, rescue, educate, empower, and we will all do this together. To our partners in government, civil society, and our dear sisters and brothers at various NGOs working with us in the trenches. Every time we have a board meeting, I take my key because my car is too low. If you know where we live ourselves, and it's because we want to be with the children. When school is over, the kids are there, their parents are there. So we're doing our best, but we all need to do it together, as has been stated in the panel discussions. Your dedication to this cause is the driving force behind what we do at SCEF. As we commemorate the International Day for Street Children tomorrow, for which we will be working for you to join us, let us renew our pledge to action. Together, we can empower and protect these young lives, ensuring that they thrive for generations to come. God bless Ghana, and God bless us all.
I'm not going to say it all. Director, all I can say is we are so grateful. Your opportunity, thank you so much. Head teachers, Auntie Vivian is here, thank you. She's big advocate for our Free the Children campaign. Those of you who have followed that campaign, the screening of child trafficking, which is a big subset of what we do. Thank you to the staff, all the staff of SCEF. Can you get up? Can you get up? I've been standing on your necks, I know, because of the children. Can we give it up to them? Can we give it up? We hear that we are doing amazing. It's not just for. It is this team behind that is making us do all of this. Nadine, thank you. Head teachers, thank you. And director, there's a lot more to be done. we'll keep going. Thank you everyone for coming, and the pleasure is always ours to host you and engage on this. All right.